beautiful. Everything I'm about to show and tell you here today is probably going to get me whacked, rubbed out, knocked off, maybe even killed. This is a 4x5 sheet film holder, the gold standard, so to speak, for large format photography. A lot of people shoot this. This is considered the big format for most people. And this is an 11x14 ultra large format film holder. Any questions? Well, as a matter of fact, there are quite a few questions when it comes to ultra large format film holders, many of which even I was not thoroughly aware of all the way up until the point my 11x14 camera was being built by the great Richard Ritter up in Vermont about a year ago. If you don't know, ultra large format photography is any format of photography that is bigger than 8x10. That's the generally across the board accepted parameter for the format. So 11x14 is essentially the entry level of ultra large format photography. I would have went bigger at the time if I could, but I built my Forerunner around my 11x4 inch developing trays, so I couldn't go any bigger. I also sort of built it around Leia, but that's beside the point. But an interesting fact about ultra large format film holders is that as opposed to regular large format film holders like 4x5, 5x7, 8x10, you can't just go buy them off the shelf. In most cases, all the film holders are proprietary to the camera. There's some wiggle room with this, and that's what we're going to talk about here actually in the rest of this episode. But I did not know that ultra large format film holders were something very particular, even for newer cameras as well as the antique cameras. Essentially, it has to be made by the same maker who made your camera, or there may be some fitment issues. And as you've probably already gathered, folks, much like their camera counterparts, ultra large format film holders, they're not cheap. I don't mind saying that my Richard Ritter holder, which is a fantastic film holder worth every penny, I gave about $545 for that thing in 2023 currency.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I only bought one. However, as you know, I'm already experimenting with some in-camera direct positives using that potassium permanganate process. I'm experimenting with wet plate collodion with that camera as well. Luckily for me, my plate holder, I had it with me when I got the camera from Mr. Ritter up in Vermont, and he tested that for me. That plate holder fit the camera just fine, so we're in the clear there. But I realized that I simply needed more holders. I hate to say, especially with this direct positive process, because unlike film, once you shoot, you're done. That's an in-camera limited edition. So instead of having 2 chances, I wanted to have at least 4, ideally 6, to get that print. So as always, folks, I went hunting. If you know me at all, you know that I'm addicted to eBay. At least I used to be. That's why I'm still in the process of selling off most of my camera gear. But I ran across 2 film holders made by essentially an unknown studio. I'm more sure than not they're made by a place called Fire Studios, which is sort of a controversial company, to say the least, within the ultra large format community. But at any rate, I found 2 holders, went back and forth with the seller, and about a week later, 2 virtually brand new 11x14 ultra large format film holders arrived. However, I bought these knowing there was a slight issue with them. The very bottom, that light trap, which we'll talk about in just a second, it was very frayed. That's where you fold over the very bottom of the holder. That's how you load your film. That's how you take the film out. That was frayed. Like I said, I'm like, that should be an easy fix. I'd already restored those 8x10 holders for Winston. So hey, why not? I ended up getting those holders, I don't guess there's any harm in me saying the deal. Just over 300 bucks for 2. 300 bucks American. And me knowing I was going to have to do a little bit of tweaking to them, that's fine. That seemed like a very good deal. And in my experience, folks, when the deal seems good, you take it.
I'll make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
So I got the holders in. Again, I was even surprised at the quality of these. They are immaculate, at least when I got them. I've been carrying them around for a few months now. They look literally brand new, aside from that fraying at the bottom and a few other things with the dark slides themselves. Yeah, let me just show you. Here we have our two holders in question, both 11 by 14 ultra large formats. As you can see, folks, completely wood. They're actually very aesthetically pleasing holders. Really good craftsmanship from what I can tell. They are bolted in. The real problem, again, I knew this when I purchased them, is right down here at this light trap. If you're not familiar with ultra large format holders or large format holders just in general, the way they work, they have two sides generally. You put a sheet of film or a sheet of paper in there. This dark slide covers it up until you're ready to shoot, protects it from the light. You pull it out, make your exposure, put it back in for transport. That's essentially how it works. To load these, you pull the dark slide either completely out or at least enough to clear this little bridge at the bottom. That unfolds. You slide your film or your paper into this little septum in the back of the holder, close the little bridge back, and then you slide the dark slide back into place. It locks everything down. There's a little slot in there it fits into, and everything is ready to go. Now the problem, as you can see, this light trap, the little, suppose that would be leatherette, it's peeling pretty bad. I actually thought the entire tape, it's a type of canvas tape, I thought the entire thing was peeling when I purchased these. I was actually glad to see that was not the case. It apparently is just that little leatherette covering. To be honest, folks, I really think this is still okay. That base of the tape, that canvas, is really in great shape. I don't think we would have a problem with light leaks of any kind, but, and this is where people are probably going to hate me for what I'm about to do, I am going to leave that old tape on there, peel off all that old frayed leatherette, and then I'm going to spray Plasti-Dip automotive detailing spray, I guess you would say that it is. I actually took some mounting tape out yesterday and tested it. That stuff is about the same material as this, and it worked fine. It adhered fine. I think it's going to be exactly what we need to actually cover up any type of small pinhole light leaks in the mesh of that tape. Now, when I restored that batch of 8x10 film holders for Winston back a few years ago now, I just recovered the end of the light traps with that same exact tape. Now I use black spray paint to spray the ends. Those work great. They look brand new. However, I think the Plasti-Dip in this application is going to do a much better job. And truth be told, I kind of just want to experiment with it. The Plasti-Dip is the exact same stuff I use on the interior of the hive to plug little light leaks in there. So I'm hoping it's going to be just fine. I don't think it's going to be a problem with peeling, but again, we shall see. As I've said, folks, these things look new, they smell new. There are no signs whatsoever of any kind of actual use. However, and this is not something exclusively, let's say, relegated to these cheaper type holders, and it's especially true for wooden holders, the dark slide, when you pull it out, it gets a little jam, and especially when you try to put it back in, it gets a little
whoa, 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 whoa,
stuck on the edges. However, if you can grab a hold of it from both sides and just walk it in a little bit, get it past that first lip, it's really smooth. So what I'm going to do is get some really fine grit sandpaper and just sand the edges of this dark slide a bit to hopefully make sure that it's as smooth as it possibly can be. And then I'm going to show you a little trick, a little hack, so to speak, on how to make that slide a little smoother from now on. But I think a little sanding is required, and then we're going to do that little trick at the end. I think you're really going to like that. And on top of all that, I'm going to give these a good cleaning as well. I think they can use it because I think they pretty sure have been in storage for a while. So we're going to reseal the light trap at the bottom. We're going to help refit the dark slides, and then we're just going to get these bad boys squeaky clean. Let's go ahead and get it done. I'm going to start off by stripping away all of this leatherette The bottom, I think, is not going to be any problem at all. It just flakes away. But I've decided to also at least try to peel off this top layer. That's still really well adhered. It depends on just how well that's adhered. I may leave that on there, but for certain, all this has got to go, and we'll just play it by ear. Oh, that is so satisfying. And with all that leatherette peeled off of there, I actually have no doubt, folks, that this would be fine completely as is, but I think I'm still going ahead and use the plastic dip. So I'm going to mask this off with our painter's tape, get to spraying. All right, brilliant. We are all taped up. I didn't show that, I almost did, but folks, it's literally just tape. So I masked off the areas that I don't want the plastic dip to get on. So essentially just these bottom portions. I've really dusted them off, wiped them off. I didn't use any alcohol, any solvent to clean that, because I don't want to risk that soaking down and causing this entire bit of tape, the actual canvas tape on the light trap, to peel off. So I just dusted them off. I think we'll be fine. A few things I did add, of course, some standard issue paper towels, because this plastic dip is aerosol, so it goes everywhere. Went ahead and removed the dark slides, so I can be working on those while this dries. I marked those so I'll know which holder, which one of the dark slides came out of, just to be thorough. So yeah, let's get the plastic dipping. Looking pretty good. I think one coat is going to be enough on this. I'm going to let it dry about 10 or 15 minutes. Come back, might do another one. We'll see. I did go ahead and throw on one more coat. Looking really good, nice and even, nice and black again. The plastic dip is still just a little tacky, and when you're working with this stuff, it's actually best to peel off your masking while it's still a little damp, because if you don't, you do stand the chance of making the edges peel. I don't think it's going to be an issue with this, since that plastic dip is actually impregnated into this canvas tape. But all I have to say, I'm going to go ahead and peel the tape. Beautiful. I'll say, as far as the longevity of this, using this plastic dip as a light sealing compound on that canvas tape, I don't know how long it'll last. Like I said, literally time will tell, but I'll definitely keep you up to date on it. Something that goes wholly without saying, folks, at least I hope it does, but I'm going to say it anyway. Don't go blindly sanding on your dark slides before you, one, clean your holders, inspect the dark slides themselves. I've done all those things. The edges of those holders are slightly rough, but I'm thinking, well, let me try my little trick before I go sanding on these dark slides. And wouldn't you know, here was the before. Now here's the after. So what did I do? How exactly did I go about unsticking that dark slide without doing anything mechanical to it? I use this. This is a Welch buffing rag. I order these special from Cardiff. Just kidding, folks. It's a really cheap fabric softener sheet, like you put in the dryer to dry your clothes. That's all that is. So why did this work? When you handle dryer sheets, or fabric softener sheets as we call them, you'll know they leave a little residue on your hands, or maybe you haven't noticed this, but it feels waxy, feels a little tacky, feels almost a little sticky. That is literally wax. The way these work, you throw them in the dryer, of course, the heat from the dryer renders off that wax, it melts it, transfers it to your clothes, and that's how these things work. And I have found over the years, these apply the perfect amount of lubrication, a bit of that wax on the edge of the dark slide, and it just helps them slide in and out of the groove on your film holders much, much easier. Some people prefer to use a little bit of furniture polish. Some people prefer to use some paraffin wax. Some people use beeswax, but you have to be very careful with how much and the type of wax you use, because in the heat, that can literally melt, sort of like fabric softener sheets do, and get on your film. It can cause a mess inside your holder. So I've always found it is so much easier, so much more cost effective, so much more simpler to just carry a fabric softener sheet in the big camera bag. Dark slide starts to stick a little bit, rub the edges along with the fabric softener sheet, and you're good to go. There is one little quirk to it, and that's what I'm about to show you right now. This is a classic case of less is more, folks. I'm going to show you how to apply your fabric softener sheet lubrication to the edges of the dark slide. First thing you do, roll it into a little more compact package, fold it up, square it up, just make it smaller, make it a little more firm. Get your dark slide. Now you don't want to rub this all over the dark slide, folks. That's not what we're about. You only want the edge, preferably just that very perimeter edge, to come in contact with the fabric softener sheet. Best way to do it, again, make it a little more firm, a little more compact. Put it on the edge, and just with the pressure from the tip of your finger, sort of in a buffing motion, go all around the sides. Don't miss the corners especially. Go all around the sides, all the edges of your dark slide. Again, do your best to get it just on that edge that contacts with the film holder itself. You don't want it all over everything. It can get on your film. Again, it's very difficult to get too much on there with this method, but it can happen. So again, less is more. Try to keep it right there at the edge. That should be pretty good. Now, the reason why I said always check first before you go into doing anything that you can't reverse is because some film holders, not these, but especially some newer film holders, some smaller format film holders, they have little felt strips. Sometimes it's foam, most of the time it's felt. Little light seals, just like camera light seals, that run all the way down in that groove. Sometimes those degrade. This sometimes can help with that, especially if there's wood or plastic exposed, but generally when that's the case, folks, you probably need to either, I generally don't advise this, get new holders. Oftentimes save your dark slides out of the holders if you can, but get new holders, and that should take care of the problem with that. However, with this, it is an easy fix. You saw from what I just did. I checked everything, made sure there was no obstructions. I blew out the grooves, cleaned it up a little bit, and then I was like, hey, why not try the lubrication first? And it worked like a charm. So what is next? We're going to just clean up the outside of the holders with a little bit of warm water, blow everything out again, make sure there's no bits of dust. We're going to check the light seals here at the bottom that we put in with that plasti dip. And yeah, that's going to be a done deal. Something else, definitely keep in mind as well, with any large format film holder, there can be a little bit of a breaking in period. This is especially true if it is a wooden holder as opposed to a plastic holder. Wood, natural material, it swells, it retracts, depending on the humidity, depending on the altitude. So it may be a little tight, a little sticky one day, be perfectly fine the next day. Now this is especially true for any type of holders that you buy from overseas, if they're on an airplane, if it's changing altitudes. Now here in the United States, if you order a holder from California, it goes by train or truck all the way to, let's say, the East Coast to New York. That's a host of altitude changes, humidity changes going from container to container. So the holder may get to you, it may be a little sticky. You let it set for a while, let the wood normalized, and you may be in ship shape. Like I said, a lot of subjectivity to this, folks. It just goes back to saying, don't permanently augment your holders until you're absolutely certain what the problem is. Just a few brief but very important points to finish up here, folks. When you're talking about film holders of any format, keep in mind, wherever you go, know that there is always going to be an element of pretension when people talk about this sort of thing. Oftentimes, some people will say, don't even bother with repairing your film holders. Don't even try to diagnose the problem yourself. Throw them out, buy some new holders. Sometimes these are the same people making and selling these holders, but I digress. However, for most of us, especially when you're getting up way into these weird psychopathic formats, 11 by 14 is just the gateway. Everything becomes exponentially more expensive. Case in point, the Richard Ritter holder. Again, folks, I'm saying this non-disparaging of that holder. It's a wonderful holder. You saw the entire saga of me going up there and meeting Mr. Ritter. I'm not saying that you should not buy holders that are made by the same people who make your camera. Sometimes there's no way around that. However, in my case, if I am able to find reasonable quality holders at a good price, that I'm fairly confident that I can work with, refurbish, make them otherwise light tight. They fit the camera properly. There's no focusing issues, there's no fitment issues. Why would I not do this? That is my point, folks. I no doubt will catch, I hope I don't, but I'm sure I'll catch a few comments with a lot of folks saying that I should either not do this or I'm doing it wrong, or like I said, I should get new holders. There's no way around the perfection factor for the focus. You know, it has to be made by whoever made your camera. I respect that, guys. I really do. You're always free to voice your opinions, but just know, before you do that, I'm aware of all this. I know all of this. I'm not saying that in a overly all-knowing way, but I'm aware of virtually anything that you want to say regarding any of the stuff that I've done here with these holders. Believe me, I understand where you're coming from, but for me, so far, I think this was a great route. I've got two basically brand new film holders. They fit great, they work great, and I'm not in the very least unsatisfied. So anyway, if you have any questions about what I've done here, folks, of course, put those down in the comments. Always, I can't thank enough my members. Thank you very much. Diana, Tennessee. Again, I have a very personal connection with this member. She is actually the first, drum roll, the first Continental member to join the channel. You get 10% off of any of the things that I make, any of my prints, anything from my t-shirt store, which I have over at Camera Jockey Clothiers, plus all the other perks that come along with being a member of this channel. Again, to my other members, Bill Carley, thank you so much, Bill. He is our monthly hero, one of our newest monthly hero members. And to everyone who has joined the channel recently, folks, thank you sincerely for your support. It means a lot to me. If you don't know, we're working to get all these ads off the channel. If 1% of whatever the current subscribership is at any given time, if we can get to 1% being just those lowest tier 99 cents a month member folks, the ads are gone. You have my word. So until next time, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I do hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next time. But seriously, some of these film holders are getting fucking outrageous.